is not helpful.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, and we look forward to the open house.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be in just a couple of weeks.
We will go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us. We're so happy with everyone being on this morning, and particularly we thank the mayor for being here as well. Just some announcements. We've all been dealing with COVID and the lockdown, and really changing how we do our work. And one of the things that we had started before everything was shutting down was with the Tobacco Prevention Coalition team, Cody Applegate, and through a grant from the Jefferson County Justice Treatment and Prevention, we had developed what we call a hidden in plain sight backpack program. And the purpose of that was to show parents and other caregivers for children how students could be hiding alcohol or drugs or e-cigarettes in their backpack. And since we couldn't go out, Cody and I got together and we did a video, and that's available on the HCI YouTube channel. I will send that out in the link to that in the minutes. We had, last time I checked, over 20 people have looked at that, and so hopefully they're finding that useful. But if you have the opportunity for or need some sort of program, if you're doing in person, Cody and I are more than welcome to come do that. And if not, we've got the video available, and hopefully you can take part in that. The update on the ACEs initiative, as of last week and a half, Bill Barnes from the Community Foundation said that no word yet from the Lilly Endowment, and I know that they've been busy with COVID and helping communities out as well, but that our application did not have any questions. They mentioned that they had questions for other people, but they didn't have any questions about our application. And so we're very excited about that, and hoping that that will be approved shortly. And I just saw last night, and I'll try and get a link. I'll put the link to that in the minutes, as well as maybe trying to find a place to put the report so it's more easily attainable. But the state did a report on ACEs in Indiana based on the behavioral survey, social survey. And so that's got some information. We had information from IYI, Corey, about ACEs for youth, but now we've got for the adult population. So what I'm also doing is working on, since I've figured out how to do a video, working on developing a video presentation I'm calling ACEs 101 that we can also put out there for the community to share, and hopefully that will be out before the end of the month. The future meetings, just because this isn't going away, and we know that it's difficult to find in-person meetings, and people are nervous. We're going to do another Zoom meeting next month, and if anyone's got a good idea on a topic or would like to be a presenter, send me a note on that. But we'll do one in September, we'll take October off, and then we'll have a final one for the year in November, and we normally take December off. And so hopefully by then that gets us to hopefully in a little bit better shape, or have a better idea what the future holds. So that's where we are on that. We heard from Kim talking about that they're getting ready to open up the new home. So Kim, is that going to be a quarter home, or what is the new home going to be?
I think the plans that we have right now, and they're unofficial, obviously, because we've got to get women that are ready to get in there. But I think what we're planning on doing is women will go to the original Ruth Haven house for 4 months. And then if they're ready and they've met so many different goals, then their last 2 months they would be able to go over to the new house. And it would be more run similar to a sober living house, where they'd have, instead of having a full-time night manager there, it would be more resident run. Again, that's why they'll have to be, based on their performance for the first 4 months. They will be able to live there. They're still going to be required to participate exactly in all the same things that they would do at the other house. But the new house also offers spaces where we can have group meetings. So all the women from all of our houses will come there for training and meetings and things like that.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, so that's an exciting part of it.
Does anyone have any questions for Kim?
I just want to say thank you. It's much needed. It's
Yeah.
much needed. I know you've worked really hard to do that. And I also agree with Jan about reaching out to the neighbors there because of the fear of the unknown, frankly. And if
Right.
they had an opportunity to visit Ruth Haven and visit with you and Brandy and meet the ladies who are there, I think that would go a long way to alleviating any concerns they have.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why for the open house, I, kind of envisioned, the girls were telling me on Sunday when we were there, oh, we need to make cookies for the neighbors and all. So I kind of feel like that will be, just an open invitation to them to come and ask questions, but I don't want to wait until then. That's why the one neighbor extremely upset about the us being there, obviously is right next door to us, and she had expressed how she hadn't slept at night because of it and all, and I just really tried to meet with her, and now she looks forward to talking to me. So I think we've alleviated some of that fear.
Good.
This is Stephanie with CERT. In Dearborn County, they have 5 Oxford houses now. And when the first Oxford house came in, we had a similar response. Now that we've slowly added them, people don't even know that they're there. They don't know who they don't know that it's a sober living facility. The neighbors don't really complain. Now people's stress levels have dropped big time because they see, oh, it's just sober people living next door to me. What a better neighbor would you want? And it's worked out. So it was a hurdle we had to overcome, but once they saw it, it got quiet really quick. So I would just say, hang in there. It will, they'll get used to the idea and they'll actually embrace it pretty quickly.
Well, the neighbors that we have over at the Presbyterian House, we have some wonderful neighbors there, and they've all said, if we need to talk to anybody, we would love to. We're grateful that you're here, and and we've also had one neighbor, the very first day we got our keys at the new house, she came over and said, I'm so glad you're here. And, it was really a nice welcoming. And she said, I'm trying to do my part too. So letting people know that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
What is an Oxford house?
The Oxford House is an international program. I think they have 21,000 houses throughout the world, and it is the lowest level of monitoring. So when you talk about like the level 1 through level 4, this would be the lowest level of monitoring. It's completely peer run. There's no house person monitoring it. It is for the people who are in their recovery, and they need a place to live. That's a sober place to live. To get them to come to your community, Indiana was allowed to have a certain number of charters, and Lawrenceburg wasn't even on their list of places they were looking. And the recovery community, I'm so proud of them. The recovery community pushed it. They were the ones who contacted them relentlessly to find out what are the barriers. And the biggest barrier was that we didn't have public transportation. So they created a work committee to address the transportation issues. The people who live there split the rent, the utilities, food. They have to pay for everything. They have a weekly house meeting, and then they each have their own path to recovery. So it's not all the same. So we do go in and work with some of the people who live in the houses to help them, stay on their path. But literally, if someone walks in and they think that the person's high, they have 15 minutes to leave,
Wow.
leave. It's no joke. So they don't even have to drug test them. They can just say, we can tell you're high, you've got to go. And that's it. So they get voted in, they can come in, and then they have a house meeting and determine, is this a good fit? And they can have a house, everybody has their chores to do. If you look up Oxford House, it talks about their model. But in order to have a charter, you have to have 3 houses, and they don't buy the house, they rent the houses. So you have to find someone who's willing to rent a house that's big enough to hold 6 to 8 people. So there's 2 for men, 2 for women, and 1 for either a mother and children, or father and children. So it's family, but it's got to be either or. So right now it's mother and children. But I think they have an investor who started buying rental properties that would fit the requirements, and then he rents it out to them. They do 4-year leases. And the person can stay there for as long as they want. I think the average rent is around $200 because there's 6 or 8 people living in the house. So it's reasonably affordable.
Wow.
Yeah, we were really lucky to get this to happen, but I give credit to the recovery community because they pushed it. They said we need sober living, and they worked hard to make it happen. So yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Well, thank you for sharing, Stephanie.
Sure, and it is something that, like, if you have someone in your community who needs sober living and they need to get out of the area, it is something. They don't have to be Dearborn County residents to live there. So we try to get people to go back to their communities, but sometimes it's not a good thing for them. So it doesn't have to be just a Dearborn County resident. And we use Ruth Haven all the time, so I'm excited to hear there's a step down for Ruth Haven. That's amazing.
Thank you. Any other announcements or things that someone would like to share?
Well, hello, this is Margot Olson, and I am also a neighbor of the new facility, and I just want Kim to know that not all neighbors are upset about this, and there have been many supportive neighbors and many positive comments, and so
well, thank you very much.
You're in the hood.
We hope to be very good neighbors.
Well, it's very exciting, and we're very happy, and you've got a lot of support here, so.
That's great.
So with that, I would like to turn the program over to Mayor Courtney, and the mayor is, as I've shared with him before, I don't know of too many people, if you ask them, hey, would you take this job with coming in on the passing of a mayor, and then some of the issues that he's had to deal with, and then you get a pandemic, and you've got all these plans and ideas that you're excited to put into place. And so I've been very impressed with how you've handled all this, Mr. Mayor, and I want to again publicly thank you for the support you've given to the HCI and looking out for us, and look forward to a continued working relationship. And we're just so thankful that you're able to join us this morning and share with us what your administration is doing and what some of your thoughts for the future are. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Bob Courtney.
Well, Keith, first of all, thank you very much for that very kind introduction. And it's been a very interesting 9 or 10 months now since we've been in office. But I have to say that, what doesn't kill us only makes us stronger, right? I mean, we've all experienced some very challenging times for the past 6 months. But I also have to give credit where credit's due, and that is with the team that is surrounding me. My department heads, all of the staff and employees across the city who have just continued to work tirelessly to deliver uninterrupted great services to the city of Madison, and then all the partnerships across the community. I mean, it's been nothing short of impressive as to how hard people work to make our community better, our quality of life better. The best ideas don't come from City Hall; they come from those partnerships. And then we just really help implement those things. We continue to work on a lot of our key initiatives, while we're spending a lot of our time dealing with the public health crisis that we've been in, and as well as the economic issues that brought onto us. So we have been, again, working very hard. And I'd like to mention maybe 2 or 3 things today. First, I want to just take a few minutes to talk about the homeless initiative that we started really pretty close to the beginning of my term during winter with the Salvation Army. And so we had worked out an agreement with the Salvation Army to partner with them to make sure that we had a winter warming shelter and a place for our homeless population in our community to go to during the coldest of nights. And the Salvation Army's been a good partner. The board there, the volunteers at the city as well, that helped us keep our warming shelter open throughout the entire course of winter, whether it was being provided by the city of Madison or by the Salvation Army. We did provide a warm place for individuals to go. And then because of the Salvation Army's expanded services, they were able to provide meals and case management and services there at the shelter themselves. So we didn't want to take those lessons learned and park them somewhere. So we're already working on what we're going to do this winter. And we've included in our budget for 2021 an actual homeless initiative that will help us fund better services throughout the community in partnership with the Salvation Army, again, because we know that that's a very needed service during the winter months. So in addition to that, the working with peer recovery and building some types of services to our community for substance abuse and treatment and mental health, for example, are also a key initiative of ours. We started on an agreement, a very comprehensive agreement with Jefferson County Commissioners early this year that actually took about 6 months to design and negotiate and finally codify by all of our respective governing bodies. And what that interlocal agreement started out as was a joint funding agreement for the new Jefferson County Jail. As we all know, that Jefferson County has been under essentially an agreement with the state of Indiana because of overcrowding and having to build a new jail. But that discussion with the commissioner started out as a joint funding agreement, but it landed in something that's much more comprehensive, probably one of the more comprehensive interlocal agreements between the city and county that's ever been executed. And we broadened that agreement because we knew that because of the dollars that were involved, that we could make a difference. And over the course of a 10-year period, for example, Jefferson County will be contributing approximately $5 million toward not only the construction of the jail, but the services and creation of a substance abuse treatment center inside the jail. And so today I want to give you a little preview of that. That interlocal agreement went beyond funding a jail and creating a framework for, building in substance abuse treatment while individuals are being incarcerated. But it also focused on economic development and historic preservation. So those three elements of that interlocal agreement were really, really critical for quality of life initiatives for the city of Madison and Jefferson County. Excuse me. Drink my coffee. But what we really wanted to make sure was, as we were investing these dollars, how do we bring services to our community, to help provide either mental health or substance abuse counseling? And what was the most effective way to do that? Building a standalone facility and then staffing and operating it would be extremely expensive, just like the jail. And so since a lot of our local substance abuse problems, stem out of crime-related activity, we felt that there were models across the state that we could emulate. And I'm happy to hear about what's going on in Dearborn County, because Dearborn County is also, I think, a county to emulate with a program that we are working toward adopting in partnership with the state of Indiana Attorney General's office called JCAP, the Jail Chemical Addiction Program. And so I'm going to preview with you today what we are proposing to do, and a steering committee has been formed by the Jefferson County Commissioners that I'm a member of. And as the jail continues to be designed, we're designing it not only with the intent to house people who are committing crimes, but since a majority of the crimes that are being committed and those offenders are living in the jail, that is a perfect time to try to help them create some form of sustainable long-term recovery and bringing options to the jail where other options previously had not existed was a high priority of ours. I'm going to pause right there and see if there are any questions before we get into JCAP or about the homeless initiative that we had. And then I'll, if it's okay with you, Keith, I'll share a little bit more about JCAP and then answer more questions about it.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
I'm going to share my screen here, and can you enable screen sharing, Keith? While Keith is looking at the technology here, I'll mention too that we're also putting our money where our mouth is, not just the millions of dollars of joint funding through that interlocal agreement with Jefferson County, but we also hope by the end of the year that we will be hiring our own outreach coordinator. It's in our 2021 budget. We also have the ability to recruit and hire that person by the end of the year. But our goal with having an outreach coordinator is actually to have someone who is experienced, in adult education as well as substance abuse and recovery options and training, so that we can bring that expertise in-house. And I believe that will allow us to partner better with all of the service partnerships that we have across the community. And we find that position is going to be very invaluable, because a lot of our team is focused on, multiple initiatives, ranging from, roads and streets and, our utility department, making sure that we deliver all of the basic services, dealing with all of the capital intensive needs we have in those areas, economic development. Our parks department, for example, is undergoing a restructuring. So we have a lot of key initiatives that really followed through with the three things that we talked about that are really the foundation of our campaign and administration. And that is public safety, economic opportunity, and quality of life initiative. So you'll see that we're continuing to find ways to invest in all areas of our community so that we can help the broader community in a number of ways and help the community grow and certainly attract new people to move to Madison, Indiana, and Jefferson County, but also make sure that those of us that are here working every day have the highest quality of life possible. So we believe that while part of our team really needs to be this outreach coordinator position to bring that level of expertise that city government really has never had before, if we're serious about recovery and dealing with the public safety aspects of that, we believe we've got the public safety part of it covered with our investment in the police department, for example, and our staffing there and the programs that they're going to be implementing. But we've got to deal with the other side, the human nature side of things, and that's where our outreach coordinator is going to come into play. So we'll have not only the homeless initiative, but the outreach coordinator and the sorry, I'm reading my screen, and the initiative with Jefferson County Commissioners all going on at the same time in 2021.
Bob?
Yep.
I think you might be able to do that now. Hopefully you can do that now.
So I don't know if you can see this on my screen, and but Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill actually attended one of our city council meetings to give an overview of this initiative that he started several years ago and has expanded from a pilot county, which I believe was Dearborn County, and then is now expanded to probably 6 or 8 counties across the state. But we feel, again, given the investment that we were already making in the new Jefferson County Jail, we wanted to work with Sheriff Dave Thomas and all 3 of the commissioners and county council there to bring something more comprehensive to the jail than just incarceration. But there really needs to be a benefit so that when the residents there leave, they've been offered an opportunity over a 3-month period to learn from experienced recovery specialists how to stay sober. And so that's really where we wanted our dollars to actually be working, long beyond someone's stay at the Jefferson County Jail. But Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill had provided this jail chemical addiction program, and I'll give you an overview with it today. But it's for men and women who struggle with addiction issues and with rates of heroin and other opiates being troublesome, particularly in southeastern Indiana. As you know, meth is our #1 crime-related problem in Jefferson County. But the components of JCAP is a 90-day program. It is CBT-based, so it's cognitive behavioral therapy. There's group and individual counseling, daily exercise, and AA and NA meetings. And I don't want to mischaracterize this and say that now the Jefferson County Jail is going to be providing drug treatment services. What the Jefferson County Jail is going to be doing is it's going to be designing the space so that the men and women who are there and participating in a JCAP or JCAP-like program can do so and be segregated from the rest of the population. So we need to not only create, the recovery options for them, we also have to create the environment that's going to be conducive for them to recover. And that's where a lot of work is going in now with the design of the jail. So we'll still need to get this program up and running. We'll still need to get the funding for the program. And we'll also need to get the staff for the program. So there's still a lot of work to do, but the time to do it was when the jail was being designed and when we were talking about the financial sharing arrangements between the city of Madison and Jefferson County commissioners. But this is an all voluntary program. Again, these are with master level social workers trained and certified in thinking for a change. They're using, therapeutic intervention. And anybody who is out there that can speak to this more eloquently than me, Kim, you deal with this all the time. I'm sharing with you our goals and objectives and how this will come about, and appreciate anybody else's input on, certainly as we go and get this steering committee up and running. There'll be plenty of opportunity to help make sure that we mold this program to be, as effective as possible. But again, the goal is twofold: create recovery options, but also reduce recidivism. Working with Chief Wallace with the Madison Police Department, Sheriff Dave Thomas at the Sheriff's Department and the jail, probably 85% or more of the crime that's being committed in our community is drug related. And so what better way to invest our dollars but to reduce crime and create sustainable recovery for the individuals that find themselves making those choices. We think those are effective dollars. But as you can see here, Boone County and Indianapolis, Dearborn County and southeastern Indiana, they were really pioneers of this model, and it's proven to be very successful and to reduce recidivism. Here's some Dearborn County stats that Attorney General Hill shared with us. JCAP in the 7-year period that it was a pilot program, served almost 400 people. It's a low cost per day, very, very cost effective model. And 3/4 of the people who were in the JCAP program, were offenders of heroin or other opioids, for example. And you can see here, there's some comparison of recidivism rates where JCAP has been incorporated and how significantly lower it is overall and across the male and female categories, state of Indiana and Dearborn and JCAP. So this is a proven model that works. So why wouldn't we try to explore something that is cost effective where we're already investing dollars in a big structure like the jail? And there are funding sources through Indiana Mental Health and Addiction, the Attorney General's office. So we're going to still have to do our legwork to make sure that we can fund this program and staff it effectively to give these individuals an opportunity for a better life beyond jail.
Mayor, could I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Are you going to be offering, or do you have drug court after are they going to go right into that?
Yeah, Jefferson County already has a drug court. So this is all about a partnership with the other sources we have in our community. So our community corrections program that's already here in Jefferson County, which I'm on the board of, they are already operating the drug court, and they're already operating a lot of supervised release type programs. So, and I'm glad you brought that up, because all of this is part of the process to help people have these sustainable lives beyond jail. So whatever their sentences were, when they had committed the crime, I believe there's a drug court. There's also the supervised release. And then while they are in the jail, there will be the JCAP program to help give them the tools that they're going to need to be successful. And then when they come, when they finish that program and they are on, some form of supervised release, they're going to need the resources that are available through the broader community with, LifeSpring or Centerstone, and really, help them stay sober. And it's going to be, as we know, sobriety is a challenge that they'll have to deal with every single day.
One of our employees actually is a graduate of Dearborn County's JCAP program, Wyatt Sampson, and he is now the employee, the recovery support specialist who works in the jail at Dearborn County. So he graduated from drug court, and now his position with CERT is to work with inmates who are graduating or coming out of jail and needing those resources. So it came full circle. He started out on the inside. Now he's coming in from the outside to help people. So we've ourselves seen it personally successful. And the other thing
I think that's a great testimony of how it can work. You know, and I'll never forget, Keith, being at one of your meetings and talking about the value of peer recovery networks and what that brings, and you know, having that support infrastructure in place. And I feel very passionate that, you know, we in the city, you know, we need to do what we can, because, you know, the overall effect is, if we can help these individuals make better choices, have a sustainable life of sobriety, that improves not only their quality of life, but every resident's of Madison and Jefferson County's quality of life, particularly because of the high drug-related crime rate that happens in all of our communities across the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited that you guys are doing this. And I can tell you it has been very successful. And cognitive behavioral therapy, they learn a lot of skills. And one of the qualifiers is they take a question that talks about readiness for change. And that helps qualify who should be in the program. Are they really ready? Or are they just going through the motions to try to lessen a sentence or get out of trouble? And so they make good choices about who enters the program.
Right.
The ones who are ready. So yeah, I'm excited. I think you guys are going to really find a huge change in your community by doing that.
Well, we had to make a couple of choices here, because our options were, you know, how do we invest our limited dollars? Is it through a program like JCAP? You know, as you know, over the course of the last several years, medically assisted treatment certainly has also grown in use across the state. Governor Holcomb and the Indiana Department of Mental Health and Addiction, you know, they have created, you know, those types of facilities, availability of facilities, probably within an hour's drive, I think, of just about any Indiana city. We don't have one of those in Jefferson County, and we frankly prefer to invest our dollars through the JCAP model, CBT model, you know, rather than medically assisted treatment. But that may work for others. And I think earlier when you were talking about Oxford House and, you know, public transportation being an inhibiting factor for people getting treatment, that's also an area that we need to continue to address, is making, you know, transportation available for those who want to seek help, and certainly where options are for any type of long-term recovery. Residential therapy would be available. We need to make sure we get them to those resources as quickly as possible. So I'm really happy with, you know, where this is heading, although I know that there's a lot of work ahead of us, but we need to, you know, lay the foundation for what we can do. And I think when we look at how we do investments at the city, we're always looking at that return on investment. And some investments that we make, you know, have a financial return on the investment. This one here is, it does have a financial return on its investment, because we can drive down the jail population and increase our, you know, workforce, for example, for our companies and manufacturing firms across the community. But there's just also that, you know, that human element that will allow people to have a higher quality of life.
If you need anybody to come in and talk about it, I'm sure Wyatt, our graduate of that program, would be happy to come down. He's, I think, 10 years sober now, and
Wow.
He definitely gives, he wasn't one of the ones I had come down and speak. Actually, his wife was one of the ones who came down, and she talked about her experience, but he would be happy to, if you need people to hear testimonials about people who've graduated, he'd be happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
And Wyatt is we miss having him around, Stephanie. That we're happy that he's got his new job, but he came to the JCJTAP meetings and our HCI meetings, and so we were saddened to learn. we're happy for him, but saddened to learn that he wouldn't be joining us. So because
I'll tell him, because he's from that's where you are, is his stomping grounds, where he grew up and where he made a lot of mistakes, and he really wanted to come back to show that he changed his life, and show for the people who didn't think that he could change, to show that he could change. So he misses coming down too. I'll tell him, he'll appreciate that.
Keith, when we were talking with the commissioners and trying to craft this pretty comprehensive interlocal agreement, and then we had to go through the approval processes to get it approved by our city council, then their county council, and their county commissioners, for example, all the approval processes that were involved. Having this element of the agreement, I think, garnered tremendous support. We received lots of encouragement from Judge Moat, David Sutter, our prosecutor, Amber Finnegan at Community Corrections, all of the law enforcement apparatus, for example, that deal with this on a day-to-day basis, practitioners who knew that we were embarking on this type of initiative. So I think there's tremendous support for doing this. And again, because we have such limited resources generally, we need to make every dollar count. And I haven't seen anything that's quite as effective from a results-oriented perspective with how we use these dollars efficiently and effectively, but the results that it's produced. I've got one other thing I want to cover, but I'm happy to answer any more questions about what we're doing in partnership with the Jefferson County Commissioners, and then also our partnership with the Salvation Army.
I have a question. Could you speak to, you mentioned that Jefferson County wasn't interested in a medically assisted treatment program. Could you talk a little bit about why?
Well, it was mostly about zoning. We have a specific ordinance at the City of Madison where pain management clinics can be located, and there really wasn't a very good location because of the distance that it has to be located from schools and residences and churches, for example. But again, relative to what the city needs to get behind, we wanted to be behind a program like JCAP. And so that's where the fact that we were already investing dollars, helping build a new jail, we felt that the most cost-effective way to focus on addiction recovery resources was this way.
Hi, this is Sue Melton from Centerstone. I just want to say I'm very excited to hear about the program in the jail. We do a lot of work with addictions. We're part of drug court and part of community corrections also. And so, I'm certainly looking forward to, even ways that we could partner on some of that to be able to provide services that people need in this county, because it's desperately needed. That's truly the truth.
Thank you, Sue. It really is desperately needed, and thank you for everything you're doing already in our community.
And Mayor, I need to ask this question because Sue reminds me of this frequently, and it's something that I try to take up when I can. I know that the Chief Wallace is working on some things to rethink how they're doing things. Do you know if they're looking at doing crisis intervention training or developing a crisis intervention team?
Yeah, let me address that. So what Keith's referring to is a public safety steering committee that we formed. In fact, tonight they'll be having their second public meeting where they're evaluating all of the standard operating procedures, chief's directives, rules and regulations for which our officers are trained under and frankly supervised under. But inside that process, we've started with a peer review. Frankly, we hired a company a few months ago called the Legal Liability and Risk Management Institute to do an initial deep dive in our SOPs to help guide us through this process. And they made quite a few recommendations that now this Public Safety Steering Committee is going through and reviewing and will be recommending changes to be incorporated in those policies and procedures that'll eventually culminate with an approval in front of the Board of Public Works and Safety, which regulates the policies and procedures of the Madison Police Department. And then also the City of Madison Police Merit Board, which regulates the staffing of the police department. So combined, we supervise public safety in our community. So in addition to the existing SOPs review, there'll be the incorporation and creation of what new policies we're lacking, which will be, crisis intervention, de-escalation training, and then other matters to make sure that our police officers are the most professional that they can be. And the ultimate goal is so that we can create metrics so that the city of Madison can be literally one of the safest communities in the state of Indiana. And so what we do and what we've been talking about here with JCAP and other programs is be data driven so we can establish these key initiatives, but have the metrics in place on how we're going to see whether or not we're successful. And if we aren't achieving those metrics, then we need to recalibrate and do something different. So there's a lot of training that our officers already go through, but that doesn't mean that there isn't ways that we can improve. And I'll tell you that I'm very happy and very proud of the Madison Police Department and the leadership of Chief Wallace and what this public safety steering process and committee is doing is helping these men and women who join our police department be the best that they can be. And that's the ultimate outcome, again, is so that our police officers who have significant roles beyond just enforcement, but they are in many ways the first personal contact that some of our the offenders, for example, or those who are committing crime, unfortunately, will have that can help them. Last week I do want to mention, if you get a chance, watch last week's city council meeting. We swore in 2 new police officers, but we also gave commendations to several police officers for the work that they're doing with the Child Advocacy Center and heroism. And we actually played a body cam video. We adopted wearable video as an SOP a few months ago. And we showed the quick reaction and tactical nature of being a police officer, even in the city of size of Madison, Indiana, how important that is to saving lives. And what we showed that night, it was last Tuesday night. You can go on to Madison TV 15 and watch the video, but you'll see in a split second, a decision could have resulted either in the loss of life or the saving of a life. And unfortunately, these officers and their heroism and quick thinking saved that gentleman's life that night. And what you'll see at the end of that is compassion and someone who cared about a person who was struggling in that moment with a mental health issue. And I couldn't be prouder of these officers. So please take a look at that. You'll see what type of officers we have in the city of Madison. Hopefully you'll be as proud of them as I am.
Wonderful.
I have one other thing, Keith, I want to mention. And I'm sorry I'm hogging the whole meeting.
Nope, the meeting is yours, so go right ahead.
Well, as you know, in the last 6 months, we've been dealing with a global pandemic that certainly hits very, very close to home with the coronavirus, and working with our healthcare partners. KDH has been excellent at providing, the needed healthcare across our community to make sure that, we're preserving capacity in that front. We're doing what we can too, and Governor Holcomb has issued, I believe, 39 executive orders, and all of that is designed to keep our community safe and in the last three or 4 months, get our businesses open and keep our economy chugging along to the best it can. But often throughout the course of these these 6 months, as programs and money is created at the federal level, such as through the CARES Act, that money, as well as state funding, is deployed across Indiana with Governor Holcomb's initiatives. And last week, I'm not sure if you caught this or not, but I think it was on August the 6th, so slightly less than a week ago, he announced a Indiana Division of Mental Health and Addiction program to expand access to trained peer support recovery training with the Indiana Recovery Network. So, you know, what our state and federal elected leaders all realize is, you know, there's a mental health component to the coronavirus, and we probably have not seen any drop in mental health or, frankly, addiction through the course of the last 6 months. And so we need dollars to deal with that. The Indiana Recovery Network, you're probably already familiar with, but with some additional money and funding that the state's providing to them, you know, they have identified, I think, maybe a dozen areas across the state where they're going to be deploying those dollars. And again, it's for mental health and substance abuse treatment to help our communities even better. We have a long way to go to dig out of, you know, of the coronavirus pandemic. It's not going to go away anytime soon. So we just have to be smart about it and deploy the resources in the right way. We also have to live our lives and continue to focus on key initiatives, which is what we've done in our administration, because a lot of what we do and a lot of what you're doing, right, is to improve the quality of life for everybody who lives in our community, all 35,000 of us approximately across Jefferson County, you know, and the hundreds of thousands of people that come and visit our community each year. And so we know that there's a healthcare consequence, there's an economic consequence, and we're just going to have to continue to work together to make sure that we are able to, you know, bring ourselves out of this and retain all the best practices that we've learned along the way. You know, in our office, there are certainly best practices that we've crafted over the course of the last 6 months that, frankly, we probably would not have been focusing on had we not been forced to focus on it because of the crisis that is at hand. So we look at all of these things as the opportunities that they are. While there are challenges, they are always opportunities. And while we keep our eyes and focus on the future, is to take those best practices and turn those into future opportunities that we can actually realize and make our community better for everybody living here.
Well, that gets us right to the bewitching hour, Mr. Mayor. So, are there any questions for Mayor Courtney?
Yeah, Keith, this is Jan. This real quick. I'm really pleased with the homeless initiative and the effort to anticipate the need for warming stations. But I remember hearing that a lot more homeless die of heat exhaustion, and it looks like we might be having a really hot week. Is there any conversation about cooling stations and where people can be safe from the high heat and humidity?
No, I don't have any statistics, Jan, on homeless people dying from heat exhaustion. I mean, certainly that's a risk that everybody in the community can face. But no, we have not focused on any type of cooling stations. We're really focusing on those where we know that, you know, frigid temperatures is a detriment to health. You know, on the heating exhaustion thing, you know, we have areas across the community where they can hydrate to help them stay hydrated and not get dehydrated. So you do bring up a good point, but no, that's not something that's been on our radar.
Okay,
and I haven't heard. Now, I haven't been at Salvation Army meetings. It may be something that they have. You know, the Salvation Army is open every day for guests to come in, and you know, they have reopened so that they can come in and get meals. But I've not focused on a heat cooling area.
And Mr. Mayor, there is one other question. It said, what other aspects are there to the homeless initiative in addition to the warming station? Will medically assisted treatment be a part of the program?
It's not a part of the city initiative or partnership that we have with the Salvation Army. So what we're trying to do is make sure that all the resources, both financial and volunteer resources, are dedicated toward the Salvation Army so that they can use their facility, which is best suited for it. And there's case management there with a network of how they can refer individuals out for additional assistance that they need.
Could I bring something up, please?
Sure. Who is this?
I'm sorry. This is Carol Marsh from the
Hi,
Salvation
Carol.
Army.
Hi,
How
Carol.
you guys doing today?
Hi, Carol.
Hi. In regard to the cooling stations, we're open Monday through Friday, and when the weather is hot, we make sure that we have water available and cups. They can come in, they can cool off. We want to make sure that people are safe, of course. So, and we've always been available for meals. Even when we didn't have folks come inside and eat, we still had takeout. So no matter what, we make sure folks are hydrated. So if you know of anybody that's just overheated and they need a place to hang out for a little while, they're welcome to come in and sit down and cool off and get something to drink always. So we're here. And
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for adding that.
You're
Yes,
so
thank you,
welcome.
Carol.
So welcome. Welcome, guys.
Well, with that, we will go ahead and wrap up. And again, thank you, Mayor Courtney, for sharing what's going on your very busy agenda. And we look forward to the time where we can all meet together in person once again and hear another update. So keep up the good work, and as always, let us know how we can help you and your team be successful.
Well, you guys keep up the good work, because without you, I mean, what we do at City Hall wouldn't be possible.
So thank you all very much, and we will be meeting again next month. And like I said earlier, if someone has something they would like to present or have an idea of what they'd like to hear, just shoot me an email on that at howardk@madison or kdhmadison.org. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.